All right, he's rich. Now he's a big leaguer, and he's one of the youngest big leaguers in the sport. Jackson Chourio with the Milwaukee Brewers makes the big league roster for opening day. It's time for a BA prospect profile. JJ Cooper and Carlos Collazo from Baseball America to break down Jackson Chourio. So JJ Cooper, he is already a rich man, and he will be, hopefully, the face of the Milwaukee Brewers as soon as possible. When could that be? When do you see Jackson Chourio standing out and leading this team? Could he be Rookie of the Year?
Absolutely, he could be Rookie of the Year, although I do think that there will be a little bit of an adjustment period. This is a player who has not had a whole lot of time at the upper level. It spent a lot of last year. It spent last year mainly at Double-A, but half that year was with that crazy tacky ball, and he had a little bit of trouble with that. It was a lot better after that. But if you told me that Chourio's first month or two, there's some adjustments to the big leagues, the speed plays, the defense plays, the power plays every now and then, but maybe he chases a little bit too much, things like that, I wouldn't be shocked at all to see kind of a season much like what Gunnar Henderson showed last year, where the second half of the season was way better than the first half. And in Chourio's case, I think that you're going to see a lot more of what Chourio can do as we get further into this season, obviously seasons to come, which we do have to remember. He's going to be he is now one of the youngest big league debuts that we have seen in years. Players do not normally come up at this age, but when they do, usually they're stars.
Yeah, and he has the tools to be an absolute star. You mentioned the approach, JJ, the chase rate he's shown has maybe been a little bit higher than you'd like to see. But when you look at the collection of tools that he has, I think you can live with that for a little as he adjusts. He's going to be just 20 years old. I think he has a chance for double plus power, that's 70 grade raw power. The max exit velocity numbers that he's shown at his age is comparable with people 3, 4, 5 years in front of him. They're some of the best exit velocities you'll see. I think he's going to be an impactful runner on the bases in this new major league system we have where steals are back. He's going to be a guy that's taking a bunch of bases. So the power speed threat, it wouldn't be shocking at all to see him be a 30-30 player at some point in the future. He's also a dynamic defender. The Brewers have a number of really talented outfielders, so it'll be interesting where he plays. We think he can be a plus defender in center field. If he's playing left or right field, he's going to be a really impact defender at either of those corners with the power to profile, with the speed to just be an exciting, really fun player to see. And just seeing the tools that he's had at this age and what he's done in the minors, I can't wait to see what he does in the big leagues.
You know, of course, he gets paid before he ever gets into a major league game, and only had 6 games above Double-A at the point that he signs this extension in the offseason entering 2024. 8 years, $82 million, and there's 2 club options tacked on to the end of that. So I think, Carlos, this could be their Ronald Acuna Jr. deal, right? Ronald Acuna Jr. is a bargain in Major League Baseball. He's probably worth like $50 million a season based on how our game plays. And he signed for 8 years, 100, with options on top of that. So it seems like he's on a similar plan here, Jackson, if he kind of fulfills everything you're talking about.
Yeah, and I really don't think that's a crazy comp, as crazy as it might seem to compare anyone to Ronald Acuna Jr. with how good he's been. But in terms of the athleticism, in terms of what he's done at a young age, the deal he signed early on, really the hit tool, like how quickly can he adjust to major league pitching? That'll be a question. I think he has all the tools, the bat speed, the adjustments that he's shown in the minor league level to be a plus hitter. But maybe there are some other players that you'd feel more confident can adjust immediately. I'm not sure how much of a concern that should be for you as a Brewers fan or the Brewers in general, because he's also one of those players where even if he doesn't reach the expectations that we have for him offensively, he can fall back on the power that he has. He can fall back on being a great defensive player. He can just do so many things on the diamond that he doesn't necessarily have to max out the pure hit tool, although we're still pretty high on that. I think he has a case for the top prospect in baseball. We had him number 2 entering the season, but there were some people on our staff who thought he had a pretty compelling case to top another talented Jackson, the Jackson Holiday.
And the thing that also jumps out with that to me is what Carlos said. I love Acuna kind of as not a direct comp. I think Acuna is a little bit more physical, but where we're talking about Jackson Chourio right now is much of the same of what we were talking about with Ronald Acuna Jr. when he was hitting the major leagues. The big question was going to be what that strikeout rate was going to be. Was it going to be 25% where, okay, that would probably limit his batting average a little bit, but the power, the speed was going to play? Or was it going to steadily get better? What we saw in Acuna's case is it just kept getting better and better and better to where now he's one of the toughest guys to strike out, in addition to being one of the best players and everything else. He was able to do that because he reached the majors and at an age where most of his contemporaries are still far from the big leagues. Chourio's doing that even more so. These kind of guys often get better and better in the big leagues. And if Chourio kind of cleans that little bit up, which he saw some improvement of that even kind of in the second half of the season last year, if he keeps doing that, we're going to be talking about one of the best, if not the best player in baseball in the 2027, 2028, 2029 range.
And Carlos, it was fun to watch some of the highlights just now. I mean, one home run goes opposite field for miles. I saw the one before that where it looks like he basically fell and just fell into a long pulled home run. I mean, looks like he's going to be an entertaining player to watch too, because he kind of does things that most guys can't do, even if they tried.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's just the kind of athlete that we're talking about. And as we talk about him compared to Acuna, I think it maybe is worth mentioning, I don't think you should expect an arm that Acuna Jr. has. That's maybe the one tool that is kind of fringy to average for him. But I think in terms of the ground he covers and the way that he's able to track balls in the outfield, how dynamic he is as a defender, I mean, this is a guy that we think should be a plus center fielder if he's playing the position. And so, again, I would expect just the defensive value he brings almost on day one is probably better than what Acuna Jr. is doing now outside of the arm. But he'll be fun to watch in the field. He'll be fun to watch on the bases. He'll be fun to watch in the batter's box. He'll probably be fun to watch cutting up in the dugout too after he's homered and is celebrating with his teammates. So he'll definitely be a guy you want to keep your eyes on.
So I want to spin this to the whole team then, JJ, because the Brewers had one of the worst farm systems not too long ago, and now they've had young talent coming through, and it's perfect timing because some of the talent that's been there for a while, led by some of their starters, are not there for the 2024 season. So how do you size up the Brewers Major League Club and what's coming soon in the minor leagues for them? Because I think their fans want to know if they're going to go through some pain and suffering in the NL Central, or if they're going to kind of just smoothly slide from a pitching and defense team into maybe a little more offense for the first time in a while.
I got to give them credit. Like, we felt very good about their ability to develop pitching for a number of years, but they've also kind of added some bats here. Chourio being the most important one, but guys like Tyler Black. There's a number of kind of Joy Ortiz who they added in the Corbin Burch race. They've added some other pieces here. This is now what we view as one of the best farm systems in baseball right now. And the other thing that they keep being able to do, we saw this, I was out in Arizona for the spring breakout season, and with the Brewers, you just kind of wonder, okay, who's going to be the next guy that just shows up? And, then Brett Witrowski comes out there and you're like, okay, this guy was a 91, 92 mile an hour guy at Bryant not that long ago. And here he is, he's 98, 99. It's like, okay, the Brewers are doing it again. They are able to do that. I do think that they have a chance, especially in a division that doesn't have anyone running away from it, of kind of making that smooth transition, although injuries could trip them up and that kind of already hurt them. I know that Carlos has always been a big Garrett Mitchell fan, and it just seems like he can't stay healthy, which is a frustrating thing about this. But we get to see the Brewers a lot. They have their Class A club in Zebulon, North Carolina, right by us, based in North Carolina. So, and that kind of, I can't help but think of that when we're talking about Chourio, because I'll never forget Josh Norris for us going out that first week to Zebulon to see the Carolina Mudcats and calling me and saying, I've seen the best player that I'll see all year. And this was basically 2 days into the season, and he was right.
Yeah, I really don't think Brewers fans are going to need to worry too much about the next wave. I think if the Orioles didn't exist, I would feel pretty confident about the Brewers having the number one farm system in the game entering the 2024 season. I think they do an excellent job of remaining competitive at the big league level while supplementing the farm system and developing both on the pitching and hitting side at this point. So they've got a wave of players. Jackson Chourio is the top in the system, but I think it's a really deep and quality farm system on the hitting and the pitching sides at this stage.
I better see some excited Brewers fans in the comments right now. Let us know your thoughts about Chourio and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. That's it for this Baseball America Prospect Profile.